I was shocked going back through today, taking a look at all the shit that happened, all the shit that Mel Gibson did in the 90s and 2000s, because it's even worse than I remembered. It is so horrifically bad. And then I looked up all the celebrities who through the years have continued to support Mel Gibson. And then I saw this article on Robert Downey Jr. and I was like, man, what a double standard it is. Yet they try to tell us cancel culture is real. Right. Okay. So let's go back to this article. Here's Robert Downey Jr. saying, one time I got into a bit of a sticky situation where it kind of ended my career. I was drunk in the back of a police car. I said some stupid shit. Oh, sorry. This is not Robert Downey Jr. This is Mel Gibson saying this. One time I got into a bit of a sticky situation where it kind of ended my career. I was drunk in the back of a police car and I said some stupid shit. And all of a sudden, blacklisted. I'm the poster boy for canceled. Gibson says, referring to his 2006 arrest in Malibu for driving under the influence, during which, according to police reports, he made drunken comments disparaging Jews. A couple of years into that, he invited me to some kind of award he was getting. This is still Mel Gibson. And he's talking about Robert Downey Jr. We always had this kind of seesaw thing where if he was on the wagon, I was falling off. And if I was on the wagon, he was falling off. Once again, falling off the wagon, aka abusing substances in both these men's cases, does not excuse Mel Gibson being a horrific human being. It's like Roseanne trying to say, oh, my Ambien made me say the N-word, made me be racist towards black people. Like, trying to contextualize it this way is minimizing how unbelievably bigoted and abusive Mel Gibson is. So he's trying to like compare himself to Robert Downey Jr. and be like, oh yeah, he'd fall off the wagon, I'd fall off the wagon. We would both just kind of be seesawing on who was falling off the wagon. It's like, no, you're a violent racist and abuser. Not the same thing. This is Gibson still speaking. So I was pretty much non-existent in Hollywood at the time, and he stood up and spoke for me. It was a bold and generous and kind gesture. I loved him for that. So here's an example of Robert Downey Jr. This was in 2012, 2010, 2012.
Actually, I asked Mel to present this award to me for a reason, because when I couldn't get sober, he told me not to give up hope, and he urged me to find my faith. Didn't have to be his or anyone else's as long as it was rooted in forgiveness. And I couldn't get hired, so he cast me in the lead of a movie that was actually developed for him, and he kept a roof over my head, and he kept food on the table. And most importantly, he said that if I accepted responsibility for my wrongdoings, and if I embraced that part of my soul that was ugly, hugging the cactus, he calls it, he said that if I hugged the cactus long enough, I'd become a man of some humility, and that my life would take on a new meaning. And I did, and it worked. All he asked in return was that someday I help the next guy in some small way. It's reasonable to assume that at the time he didn't imagine the next guy would be him. Or that someday was tonight. So anyway, on this special occasion, and in light of the recent holidays, including Columbus Day, I humbly ask that you join me, unless you are completely without sin, in which case you picked the wrong...
Glad that
industry.
they're showing Sean Penn, also an abusive piece of shit.
In forgiving my friend his trespasses, offering him the same clean slate you have me, and allowing him to continue his great and ongoing contribution to our collective art without shame. He's hugged the cactus long enough.
Okay. He's hugged the cactus long enough. All right. Are you guys ready? Are you ready? We're going to dive back in. We're going to dive back in to what Robert Downey Jr. and other friends who have supported Mel Gibson all these years refer to as hugging the cactus. What Mel Gibson said and did that made him hug the cactus. Okay, so let's start off with this article. A timeline of Mel Gibson's controversies over the years. In 1983, he was banned for 3 months from driving in Toronto, Canada, after he rear-ended another vehicle while driving under the influence of alcohol. Okay. Driving under the influence of alcohol in Canada, he gets a 3-month driving ban. Not great, but I can understand how that would be an example of like somebody screwed up. We should not cast them out of this industry rather than, you know, give them a chance to be rehabilitated and redeem themselves. Okay. Throughout the 90s, he was accused of homophobia. Speaking to the Spanish newspaper El País in 1991, Gibson made inflammatory remarks when he was asked about homosexuality. Gibson is very, very Catholic, BT dubs, if you're wondering what his religious ideologies are. The comments were met with heavy criticism from the LGBTQ plus community. Gibson said, "They take it up the ass. This is only for taking a shit." The actor added, "With this look, who's going to think I'm gay? I don't lend myself to that type of confusion. Do I look like a homosexual? Do I talk like them? Do I move like them?" In 1995, GLAAD criticized the way Gibson depicted Edward II in Braveheart, which he produced and directed, calling the character a homophobic caricature. The organization held protests in various cities opposing the movie's release, the Washington Post reported at the time. In an interview with Playboy in July of 1995, Gibson spoke about criticism from the LGBTQ plus community and was asked if he would apologize. "I'll apologize when hell freezes over. They can fuck off," he said. Months later, Gibson met with representatives from GLAAD in a forum organized by Cher's son Chastity Bono and reached a detente. According to Gibson's publicist, it was a nice dialogue between people who have a lot in common. Okay. All right. Maybe he, in that conversation, was actually apologetic, realized that what he had said was extremely hateful. But Mel Gibson has never demonstrated that he is a friend to the LGBTQ community. Like, to me, they, oh my gosh, I just realized they just totally dead named Chaz. I'm so sorry. I was reading this article. Yeah, this is now Chaz Bono. Yes, Chaz Bono. Not great. Okay. In a 2010 interview, Winona Ryder alleged that Gibson made anti-Semitic remarks to her in the 1990s. Speaking to GQ about her career in 2010, Beetlejuice and Stranger Things star Winona Ryder claimed that Gibson made homophobic and anti-Semitic jokes to her at a party in the 90s. "I remember like 15 years ago, I was at one of those big Hollywood parties, and he was really drunk," Ryder said. "I was with my friend who's gay. He made a really horrible gay joke, and somehow it came up that I was Jewish. He said something about oven dodgers, but I didn't get it." She added, "I'd never heard that before. It was just this weird moment. I was like, he's anti-Semitic and he's homophobic, and no one believed me." When Ryder recalled the story again to the Sunday Times in 2020, a spokesperson for Gibson issued a statement denying her accusations. "She lied about it over a decade ago when she talked to the press, and she's lying about it now. Also, she lied about him trying to apologize to her back then. He did reach out to her many years ago to confront her about her lies, and she refused to address it with him, Gibson's spokesperson told The Hollywood Reporter. Ryder issued a response wishing Gibson well in the future. I believe in redemption and forgiveness and hope that Mr. Gibson has found a healthy way to deal with his demons, but I am not one of them. Around 1996, my friend Kevin Aucoin and I were on the receiving end of his hateful words, said the actor. Ryder added, it is a painful and vivid memory for me. Only by accepting responsibility for our behavior in this life can we make amends and truly respect each other, and I wish him well on his lifelong journey. Yeah, so this is a pattern of behavior, as you can see. So I, of course, believe that he said these hateful things to Winona Ryder and her friend, given all of the hateful things that Mel Gibson has said over the years. Okay, so now here comes the infamous incident from 2006 when Gibson was caught driving under the influence once again and made anti-Semitic comments to the arresting police officer. So this was in Malibu, California in July of 2006 when he was arrested on suspicion of drunk driving. Here is his mugshot. Those of you who were paying attention to pop culture in the early 2000s will probably remember this. TMZ reported at the time that Gibson made several anti-Semitic remarks to the arresting officer, LA County Sheriff Deputy James Mee, citing Mee's police report of the arrest. Fucking Jews. The Jews are responsible for all the wars in the world. Are you a Jew? Gibson said per the report. Mee also wrote that Gibson threatened him. Gibson almost continually threatened me, saying he owns Malibu and will spend all of his money to get even with me, said the report. Gibson later apologized for the incident, saying, I acted like a person completely out of control when I was arrested. I disgraced myself and my family with my behavior, and for that I am truly sorry. I have battled with the disease of alcoholism for all my adult life and profoundly regret my horrific relapse. How many people have struggled with alcoholism or drug abuse and are not violently racist? Lots. Having substance abuse issues does not mean you then are just racist. And also, he had to apologize here because this is a police officer and because it was on the record. But note how he treated Winona Ryder, who he was also anti-Semitic to. Okay, now, this is the one that I was shocked going back, re-listening to these audio, re-listening to the audio of when Mel Gibson was on the phone with his ex-girlfriend, Oksana Grigorieva. She is a Russian model and singer, and they have a child together. And they had been together since 2007, gave birth to their daughter, Lucia, in 2009. And in July of 2010, audio recordings... In July 2010, audio recordings surfaced online of Gibson making abusive and racist remarks in a conversation with her. Okay.
Mel Gibson.
Also, I apologize. This is an old David Pakman video. I was trying to find the audio recordings, and there were snippets of them in various videos that I found online. David Pakman has a good chunk of it here. Sorry. This is a 12-year-old video. Just want to give that.
Has been caught in yet another racist rant. I'm David Pakman here with you on Midweek Politics. Of course, check out our website at midweekpolitics.com.
Is it racist to dislike anyone who is not Native American? Bro, huh?
Make sure to check us out on YouTube as well. youtube.com/midweekpolitics. Well, remember the Mel Gibson anti-Semitic rant, Lewis? I mean, how could we possibly forget it?
Classic. I love it.
Well, this time he got into even more trouble, this time using the term a pack of N-words. And to top it off, he admits to beating his wife. I mean, you couldn't write this any better. This is a guy who just has incredible... If you believe him, he just has the worst luck. He gets caught in anti-Semitic rants he doesn't mean. He gets caught in anti-African American rants that are just misunderstandings. He admits to beating his wife, which, no, he didn't do that. It was just a misunderstanding. It's amazing, isn't it?
And threatened to kill her, too, didn't he?
And threatened to kill her. That's right. Well, a tape surfaced of Gibson threatening his ex, who is Oksana Grigorieva. He refers to having hit her. He refers to her having deserved it. And he refers to African Americans as animals, literally saying...
Yes, he says this all on the recording. She recorded him because I can't remember exactly if they had started their custody battle or their custody battle was about to begin, but he was incredibly abusive towards her, and so she recorded him one night when they were on the phone as evidence to then bring forward during their custody battle.
A pack of African Americans, and he didn't use the term African Americans, mind you. We'll play the clip for you. The clip we'll play is censored. It's so riddled with F-bombs and swearing that we'll play the whole uncensored thing on the members podcast. So if you're not a member, you've got to get on that members podcast because you can't get the full feel of it unless you really hear him in his full glory.
Yeah, so one of the reasons why I was also trying to find his audio is because I have the transcripts here. And this was his second rant, by the way. Mel Gibson used to go on lots and lots of rants. So this was rant number 2. This was the full transcript of it. But you really get the full effect of how deranged and violent he is when you hear him in the recording.
Glory. Here is just a little bit of the censored version, which we'll play. Mel Gibson in a taped conversation with his ex, Oksana Grigorieva, racism, domestic violence admissions. It's amazing. Take a listen.
Because you're doing something, trying to breastfeed with foreign bodies in you.
So
Was that it?
it has nothing to do with it.
Oh, it had nothing to do with what? The fact that you had foreign bodies in there?
Correct.
Correct, okay, good. So you're not lying to me about fake
I've never have.
Yes, you just did. You said they weren't. You lied to me before.
What? I didn't. I never said anything of a kind. You never asked me, I never told you. Or maybe you asked me, but I never lied about this.
Not a lie, who cares? So, they look ridiculous. Get rid of them, why don't you? Anyway,
That's none of your business. What
It is. They look stupid. I'm just telling
He's talking about her he's talking about her fake breasts. She got her breasts done. That's what he's referring to.
you, it's just an appraisal. Keep them if you want. Look stupid. See if I give a but they're too big and they look stupid. They look like some Vegas bitch. They look like a Vegas whore. Mm-hmm. And you go around sashaying around in your tight clothes and stuff. I won't stand for that anymore.
I don't walk around. I don't walk
to be that.
I don't walk around in tight clothes. I stay for most
You
of
go
the
out in
time.
public and it's a embarrassment to me. You look like a bitch on heat. And if you get raped by a pack of niggers, it'll be your fault. All right? Because you provoked it. You are provocatively dressed all the time with your fake boobs you feel you have to show off in tight outfits and tight pants and stuff. You see your from behind. And that green thing today was enough. That's provocative.
This is the most brilliant performance.
Yeah, he is terrible. He is an awful. Yeah, I like how that word wasn't bleeped out. Right. Like everything else was bleeped out, but not that being censored. He's heinous. And that's only the tip of the iceberg of everything that he says in this rant that was recorded.
That Mel Gibson has ever delivered.
He needs to win an Oscar for this.
This is how Mel Gibson's going to get an Oscar, right? I mean, this is a brilliant performance.
He should have told everyone he was just acting.
Yeah.
Like practicing for an upcoming role or something.
That's the only, honestly, at this point, that's the only straw he could claw. I mean, this is a brilliant performance from an actor who clearly, Lewis, has never gotten the recognition he deserves. I mean, it's brilliant. This is like Robert De Niro in Taxi Driver. Are you talking to me? This is one of the most brilliant, and it's not even a monologue. It might as well be. And by the way, listen to Oksana. Oksana knows that this is being recorded, right? I mean, how did this leak? Somebody was recording the phone call. It was Oksana. I didn't do anything like that. She's completely calm. She's you can imagine in a real argument with Mel, obviously she's not this calm. She's performing too.
Right.
I mean,
She did drop an F-bomb, though.
She did drop one, but it was completely calm. It was a completely calm one. Now here's where
These tapes were practically on every popular morning radio show. Yes, they were played on like every news outlet, every morning show. They played, and that's why I was like, why can't I find this? I was trying to find recording of the rant because I knew it was everywhere.
It's more interesting. Whoopi Goldberg, who, as you may know, is African American, she says Mel Gibson is not racist. He goes to her house, they hang out, and
here's the full rant. How did you find this?
Tell me that the message or something, right?
I looked for so long today. I'm gonna skip over
Because you're doing something, trying to breastfeed with fucking foreign bodies in you.
Okay, let me skip a little bit.
Yes.
Stay on this phone and don't hang up on me. I have plenty of energy to drive over there. You understand me? And I will. So
Okay, so we're not gonna watch the whole thing. It's 35 minutes. It's literally 35 minutes. But you have to hear the way he is on this recording because it's unbelievable that anybody was defending him. And you remember, this was everywhere. This was not secret. This was not something that only a few people knew. It was on every news outlet. It was on every morning show. It was covered by every newspaper and magazine. Everyone heard this rant.
just fucking listen to me. Listen to my fucking ranting. Listen to what you do to me.
I didn't do anything to you.
Pain in the ass.
You are ruining my life.
You make my life so fucking difficult.
Well, you know what? It's
You be a woman that fucking supports me instead of a woman that sucks off me and just fucking sucks me dry and wants. Get out to this relationship if you're a good woman and you love me. I don't believe you anymore.
What did you just
Sick
say?
of your bullshit. Has any relationship ever worked with you? No!
Listen to me. You don't love me because somebody who loves does not behave this way. I do not. Hang on a
I'm
second.
behaving like this because I know
One
absolutely
second.
that you do not love me and you treat me
One
with no
second,
consideration.
please. Can I please
love you
speak?
because I treated you with every kindness,
No.
every consideration. You
No.
rejected.
Oh, and by the way, he tried to say that these recordings were edited. In an interview with Deadline in 2011, he said, I don't blame some people for thinking that, though. From the garbage they heard on those leaked tapes, which have been edited, you have to put it all in the proper context of being in an irrationally heated discussion at the height of a breakdown, trying to get out of a really unhealthy relationship. It's one terribly awful moment in time, said to one person in the span of one day, and doesn't represent what I truly believe or how I've treated people my entire life. Okay, sure, dude.
I'm
will
sorry.
never be happy. Fuck you. Get the fuck away from me. But my daughter is important. All right? Now, you have one more chance. And I mean it. Now, fucking go if you want. But I will give you one more chance. You make me want to smoke.
Like, I'm sorry, it's not funny at all. It's not funny at all because he is extremely abusive. But what are the breaths? What are, like, he's like cartoonishly insane. He sounds possessed. He sounds possessed.
You fucked my day up. You care about yourself.
You're so
when I am being
selfish.
so
He's like
fucking good to you.
foaming at the mouth.
I didn't do anything.
Foaming at the mouth.
I did not do anything. This is your selfish imagination. That's all.
Fuck up. You should just fucking smile and blow me. Because I deserve it.
I'm
Like-
sleeping with a baby. I'm waking up every 2 hours. I fell asleep because I was
It's
waiting for
almost
you because
comical
you
how
weren't
mad
ready
he
to go
is.
to jacuzzi as we agreed.
Who the fuck cares? We agreed nothing. You agreed. You just fucking expect shit. Go out to the goddamn jacuzzi yourself. Go to fuck the fucking jacuzzi. It's a sin.
I was
You
just-
have no fucking soul.
I didn't blame you for
And my
anything.
soul is screaming because
I
you
was
don't
just
have
waiting
one to
and
join
sleeping.
mine. You have no fucking soul. You can't give a fuck. I left my wife because we had no spiritual common ground. You and I have none. Zero. You won't even fucking try. You don't care. You don't care.
You just enjoy insulting me.
Like, he is frothing at the mouth. He is so fucking insane and is like breathing like a Batman villain on the other line with his girlfriend.
That's all.
I kind of get what the Zionist was saying now about the acting. Yes, David Pakman is a douche and he's only gotten worse with age, but I think I know it seems as if he's being really callous about it, but I think what they're saying, because they listened to the whole recording and you listen to it and it does sound like he's doing a performance because it's so insane. Like, it's hard not to laugh, not because the situation is funny, but because how angry he is so cartoonish. It is like he's auditioning to be a villain in a Batman movie. It's so unhinged.
Because you hurt me so bad.
I didn't do anything. I did not do anything, and I apologize for nothing. I did not do anything, and I apologize for nothing.
What? What?
Stop.
You apologize for nothing?
Stop.
Well, then you're a dishonest cunt.
Stop
Because you need to
screaming.
apologize for a reason.
I wanted to peace. I wanted to have peace because
Keep peace.
Because you're unbalanced.
Good enough for me, and instinctively I feel that. And I
You're
will
unbalanced.
not be patronized by you
You're
and your
unbalanced.
fucking dishonesty and apologizing.
You need medication.
You apologize because you know you're wrong.
Like, what is he even mad about? You don't even know. You don't even know what the context is for him to be angry.
need medication.
It's all I'll accept. And if you will not fucking admit that, get the fuck out. And I will make your goddamn life miserable. All right?
You need medication.
What?
You need medication.
I need a woman, not a fucking little girl with a fucking dysfunctional cunt. I need a fucking woman. I don't need medication. You need a fucking bat in the side of the head. All right? How about that?
Yeah.
You need a fucking doctor. You need a fucking brain transplant. You need a fucking soul. I need medication. I need someone who fucking treats me like a man, like a human being, with kindness, who understands what gratitude is because I fucking bend over backwards with my balls in a knot to do it all for her, and she gives me shit like a fucking sour look, or says I'm mean. The fuck is that? This is mean. Get it? You get it now? What mean is? Get it?
So there's multiple times throughout the recording that he references abusing her because he did abuse her. And he also abused another girlfriend ex-girlfriend that he pleaded no contest to. Like, this man is a domestic abuser. And so the reason that we're listening to all this and we're revisiting this is because of all the support that he's had throughout the years from people like Jodie Foster, who's a lesbian, and he has said so many homophobic things and has been so violent to women. And then Robert Downey Jr., Gary Oldman, I pulled up some old remarks of his that are awful. There's so many. Whoopi Goldberg, who's black. Whoopi Goldberg is black. That's the part here that David Pakman was about to play a recording of Whoopi Goldberg talking about Mel Gibson, who she's really good friends with, saying he's not racist, that he's not sexist. And it's crazy to me when you could listen, how do you listen to something like this and then look at all the other things Mel Gibson has said and done and conclude this man is not racist or sexist because he's never been like that to me. Sorry, that doesn't work. Just because Mel Gibson has never talked to you this way.
You fucking know don't care about me. I'm having a hard time and you fucking yanked the rug. You
Like, does not mean that he is not violently racist, sexist, and abusive. You guys. And then to see that he's still working. Yes, his career took a hit. Yes, it did. But he was never really cast out of Hollywood. Mel Gibson has still continued to work. He was not the superstar that he was in the 80s and the 90s, but it's like he's pretty much back. He's doing a Lionsgate movie starring Marky Mark. Did he even get psychiatric help? Because this is obviously beyond substance abuse. I'm not sure about that, but I want to play. We'll listen to just a little bit more of this.
You fucking selfless bitch.
And then I'll play you guys another video.
Don't you dare hang up on me.
I can't listen to this anymore.
You hang up, I'm coming over there.
I'll call the police.
What?
I'll call the
He keeps going,
police.
what?
You fucking cunt. I'm coming to my house. You're in my house, honey.
Yes, but you, honey, don't call me honey. You just
You're
call
in
me.
my house.
It's,
So I'll call the police and tell them there's someone in my house. How about that?
you can do that. That's fine.
Fuck you. I don't involve the police in anything because I stand up for myself. You weak cunt. You call the fucking cops.
Then I will go to
I just think about, too, how many women have been in a domestic abuse situation where they don't have a recording like this. And I think about how people were supporting Mel, even with his track record, and even with this audio recording. Can you imagine if she had not made this recording? Truly. Imagine how it would have gone down with the custody battle. Imagine how it would have gone down in the eyes of the, court of public justice. Imagine how Hollywood would have treated his ex, who had significantly less power than he had. It's just like, ugh. It's Mel's the type of guy that drinks brown Listerine in the morning, straight up. It's just awful to think that there are 35 minutes of him doing this, acting this unhinged, and yet there were still people who were defending him.
says right now.
Why don't you fuck off to that cunt bitch Alicia's? She was fucking making eyes at me. She'd have sucked me in 5 seconds. Take that one up with her. I was trying to spare your goddamn feelings. She'd have blown me in 5 seconds. She's not your friend. You don't have any fucking friends except me. And you treat me like shit. So that's why I'm so fucking angry. Because I don't have any friends. And I try and make one from you and you treat me like shit. And you fucking use me. The career is over. And boy, when I said that, you lit out of here faster than I've ever seen you before. And now you'll be at Alicia's place. You just showed me what you are. Absolutely, unequivocally.
I don't care if you don't
Yeah,
spend
35 minutes.
You need the goddamn sleep. Doesn't matter what you give her, it's my fucking money. Oh, God, crying, poor mouth. You could go through money like a fucking whore.
35 minutes.
The box is gone because of you.
Not because of me, because you have to feed an hour. Anything.
You should go and fuck him. Whore. Sinking ship. That's your M.O., isn't it, baby? That's your M.O. I will believe that, because it seems to be the truth.
This is from July of 2010. July of 2010 is when that recording came out. So, okay, here is a video I found from an old TYT video. We're just really throwing it back here. Here's a video from 2010 as well. This is when he's...
That one up.
Hey,
But all this...
Uncle Jank! a young Uncle Jank.
fun things that he did. Now, he's getting interviewed by a local reporter here in LA, Sam Rubin.
My ex-wife did the same thing to me, making me seem like I was manipulating her and trying to turn into something that wasn't when she was doing the exact same thing. I've been to therapy for this. Yeah. Anybody who has been in an abusive situation, please protect yourselves as best as you can. It is one of those things where, like, if you are able to record or document, it's unfortunate that helps you be believed and that helps you be taken more seriously. But even with that 35-minute video, how many celebrities were like, Mel's my friend. Mel's my friend.
From KTLA. And Sam's going to ask him about that. Makes all the sense in the world, right? But apparently not to Mel Gibson. He's going to get agitated. Okay. Now, keep in mind, the reporter's name is Sam Rubin. Okay? Because Mel Gibson's going to make that relevant here. Let's watch.
Let's watch, Uncle Chank.
Some people are going to welcome you back, and other people are going to be like, he should never come back. Why? Because of what happened before. What happened before?
He's so scary, okay? This specifically is a couple years, I think this was before the phone call came out. This was a couple years after the drunk driving incident where he was screaming at the police officer and saying Jews run the world and saying all these really anti-Semitic things. This was after that. Remember how he like apologized after being arrested by the police officer and said like, oh, I take accountability. And now look at this a few years later.
Remarks that were attributed to you.
That were attributed to me, yeah. That I didn't necessarily make. Mm-hmm. Okay. But, I gather you have a dog in this fight.
Pardon me?
You have a dog in this fight? Or are you being impartial?
You tell me I'm trying to be impartial, I guess.
Okay. Well, I'm back. And I hope it works out. And I hope people will graciously accept me back.
A dog in this fight? You see where he's going with that?
Yes, I do, Uncle Chang.
In this fight? He's trying to refer to the fact that
he also called the cops sugar tits when he was doing that rant. Yes. Yeah.
I don't know if Sam's Jewish, but is likely Jewish, Sam Rubin, right? Or at least that's what Mel Gibson thinks, right? And he's like, you got a dog in this fight?
This right here when he says,
what happened before?
That is terrifying. What happened before? Oh, he's a monster. He is such a villain. He's so scary. The shift forward. Oh my God. Jesus. Okay. Anyway, so then after the tapes came out and Mel Gibson said that he said that the tapes were edited. Okay, I don't like the way that this article is laid out. Anyway, we already read this right here, but it's one terribly awful moment in time said to one person. The span of one day doesn't represent what I truly believe or how I've treated people my entire life. So this is a guy who repeatedly doesn't actually take accountability. And remember now that this has been going on since the 90s. This was not like 1 year. Bad Wolf, thank you so much for the Prime. This was not 1 year where Mel did and said all this shit and then seemingly got himself together, took accountability, worked towards change. This has been going on now since the 90s and probably before that. Yeah, you made the Jesus movie, right? Where people argue that it was pretty anti-Semitic, Passion of the Christ. Okay, so in 2011, he pleaded no contest to misdemeanor battery after an investigation into the allegation of domestic abuse by Grigorieva, who claimed that he hit her during an argument that they had in January 2010. Grigorieva obtained a restraining order against her ex-partner in June 2010 as a result of the incident. He entered a no contest plea. Gibson entered a no contest plea bargain over the charge, and he was put on probation for 3 years, as well as ordered to attend 1 year of anger management counseling. He was also required to carry out 16 hours of community service and had to pay a $400 domestic violence fine. After the hearing, Grigorieva's lawyer said Ms. Grigorieva will now concentrate on co-parenting Lucia, resuming her charitable work for the children of Chernobyl and moving forward with her life. The pair also settled their custody battle over their daughter, Lucia, a few months later. Gibson paid his ex-partner a sum of $750,000 and also committed to paying for the house that his daughter and Ava were living in until Lucia turned 18. Oh, that's not what... this is the one I want. Next. And then there's this article. How does Mel Gibson still have a career? This was from 2020. So in 2016, he received a 10-minute standing ovation at the Venice Film Festival where he premiered Hacksaw Ridge, which, propelled by a rapturous reception in Italy, went on to receive 6 Oscar nominations. That included a nod for Gibson for Best Director. So it's a great question. How does Mel Gibson still have a career? Because this, in 2016, is only 5 years now after those tapes came out. And I'm sorry, but somebody who has the propensity for violence in the way that Mel Gibson demonstrated on those tapes needs to demonstrate that they have really sought serious help and have taken accountability and made amends. And maybe I missed it, but I never saw anything like that. And in fact, so much of this seems like Mel Gibson through the years not actually taking accountability. Now, he did have this hiatus, and it was largely due to being virtually shut out from Hollywood. And this was prompted by the infamous Malibu DUI arrest in 2006 with the anti-Semitic rant, and then the leaked tapes in 2010, the physical abuse, the messy headlines diminishing his star power and made him virtually unhireable, but then he bounced back. Last week, Winona Ryder then spoke about the time in the 90s when he made those comments. As social justice movements have swept Hollywood, the entertainment industry has taken notice and is holding its own members accountable. Somewhat. People are held accountable for like maybe 2 seconds. Throughout the years, Gibson's career has been riddled with accusations of anti-Semitism, homophobia, racism, and domestic violence. Ryder's statement resurfaced his many controversies, which are now being viewed through the socially conscious lens of 2020. Like many other recent Hollywood scandals, social media outcry has ensued, as typified by one Twitter user writing, "Mel Gibson is an anti-Semitic lowlife who doesn't ever deserve to hold another job in Hollywood." Jonathan Greenblatt, CEO of the ADL, tweeted, "Winona Ryder's account is another example of Mel Gibson's disgusting anti-Semitism and homophobia. But it's not just about hate. The same white male privilege and power that props up a bigot like Gibson also safeguards a system that holds back so many talented, diverse artists." Okay. Now, this is the part that I wanted to get to. At the time of his 2006 arrest, he was notoriously dropped by Ari Emanuel, with whom he's since made amends. Ari Emanuel, who is a Zionist, who signed a bunch of letters in support of Israel. I'm pretty sure Ari signed that recent letter condemning Jonathan Glazer. Can't remember that, but I know for sure another person who's mentioned in this article, Amy Pascal, also signed that letter condemning Jonathan Glazer. Amy Pascal, let me skip down here. Amy Pascal is the former Sony exec whose emails were leaked, and she was saying racist shit in them, and she apparently patched up her relationship with Mel Gibson. And I'm pointing this out because it's so infuriating that these same people, Amy Pascal, Ari Emanuel, people who have accepted Mel Gibson back into the fold, think that anybody supporting Palestine and Palestinians are Jew haters, are anti-Semites. And it's like, really? You have one of the worst anti-Semites in Hollywood still working in Hollywood, and this is someone who you have shaken hands with again. The Passion of the Christ was panned by many critics for promoting anti-Semitism, and yet the epic biblical drama, which Gibson funded himself, went on to make over $600 million at the box office. Frank Rich, a writer who ferociously panned Passion of the Christ for its anti-Semitism propaganda and has written numerous critical pieces of Gibson over the years. Back in the day, Gibson said he wanted to kill Rich and his dog, saying, "I want his intestines on a stick." Rich, who's never owned a dog, is now an executive producer on Succession. What's really happened since Passion of the Christ is that he was ahead of the curve. Anti-Semitism has come out of the closet. Part of the dark, hateful, vicious part of our culture is that he is in fashion, even if he's not in fashion in Hollywood. Gibson has a deep bench of Hollywood supporters, though, like close friends Jodie Foster, Whoopi Goldberg, and Robert Downey Jr., who urged the industry to give Gibson a second chance when he accepted the American Cinematheque Award in 2011. So remember that video we watched of Robert Downey Jr.? That was 2011. That was the year after the tapes were released. That was hardly any time after that 35-minute rant where he is so unbelievably unhinged. It's terrifying even all these years later. What are we doing here? 2011. People wanting Hollywood to give Robert Downey Jr. People wanting Hollywood to give Mel Gibson a second chance. In a 2016 interview with Variety, Gibson addressed the DUI incident, saying he's now sober and finds it annoying that people bring up the incident 10 years later. Again, everything about Mel Gibson points to the fact that he is not actually sorry for the things that he said and did. Oh, I'm sorry you find it annoying that people bring that up? Come on, dude. Hacksaw Ridge producer David Permut has attributed Gibson's anti-Semitic Malibu rant to alcoholism and said he's not the person he's been made out to be in the headlines. Look at all these people defending him. Look at all these people blaming it on him being an alcoholic. Those close to Gibson believe he has paid the price and has shown that he's a changed man with no new controversies arriving over the past 10 years since he's been sober. Gibson also has had his Hollywood detractors like Seth Rogen, who responded to writers' claims by tweeting, "I'm only surprised by Mel Gibson's Oven Dodger comment because it acknowledges the Holocaust actually happened." When Gibson was cast as Santa Claus in the upcoming film Fat Man, Rogen called Gibson a ho-ho Holocaust denier. Despite the off-camera controversies, Gibson is known as a respectful and likable colleague with a strong work ethic on set. Numerous people who have worked with the star tell Variety they have nothing but positive experiences to share of their professional relationship with the filmmaker, from time spent on location to traveling during press tours. A producer who recently worked with Gibson speaks highly of the actor, but admits that his casting was initially a concern due to the prospect of public backlash. "We thought about if it's okay for us to work with him or if he's still taboo. We all agreed he's out of jail because he was doing big movies and getting awards buzz. We thought it's been a long enough time and hopefully he's changed his behavior and made his amends." Some people can get away with things and some people can't, Bragman adds. It may be because they make a lot of money for people, or it may be because they're likable. Everyone in Hollywood has a different DNA and there's not a set of rules. Two people may do the exact same thing and one may lose their career and one may go on and be just fine. That's interesting that Bragman, who's defended Mel Gibson, said that, where he's acknowledging that, like, yeah, Hollywood works differently for people who are big names and who generate big numbers at the box office. Okay, so this was Jodie Foster's comments. This was from 2016. Jodie Foster passionately defending Mel Gibson again. She's done this throughout the years. Foster has always stayed true to her pal. "It's not my job to adjudicate his behavior," she tells The Times. "He's certainly not sexist and certainly not racist." You can't say that. You cannot say he's certainly not sexist and certainly not racist when the evidence points to the contrary. I know the guy I know, somebody who's really emotional, who I can have long, long conversations with, who's trustworthy, who shows up for me. He's not a perfect person, she said in 2011. He's a complicated person. That's why I love him. He's not just some guy who wants to pose for GQ. He's lived a real life. I'm forever grateful for his performance, and I can't imagine anyone else bringing this much to it. I hate this shit. He's a complicated person. Why is it so often that famous male abusers get to be called complicated, get to be called tortured artists, get to be called imperfect humans? There is so much defense that people run for abusive assholes. After Gibson was arrested in the summer of 2006 for drunken driving and went on an anti-Semitic tirade, Foster had defended him then as well. Is he an anti-Semite? Absolutely not. But it's no secret that he's always fought a terrible battle with alcoholism. Man, I really just hope in 2024 we understand now that that is never an excuse. Having substance abuse issues will never, ever excuse your abhorrent behavior. She stopped short of saying, well, Mel is Mel. Mel is Mel. Gibson was a shining example of how low you can go when you are young and still pull yourself up, she said. He took his recovery very seriously, which is why I know he's strong enough to get through this now. Because she had witnessed him fall off the wagon before the 2006 scandal, but he had recovered, which is why she felt he could do it again. Man, I'm just going to say something, okay? So there's two separate things happening here. Mel Gibson is an alcoholic, and it seems as if he has sought treatment for that, and it seems as if he is now sober, and so there's no more incidents with him getting pulled over, driving under the influence, whatever. But then there's this separate thing where Mel Gibson is racist. Mel Gibson is anti-Semitic. Mel Gibson is homophobic. Mel Gibson is abusive. And we can't pretend as if those things just went away when he got his drinking problem under control. Now he's racist, but not out loud. Exactly. He hasn't shown himself actually doing anything redemptive other than he stopped drinking, which that's great. Okay. You treat the one problem, but what about all this other shit?